Prejudice often hides behind the guise of protocol. At a sun-drenched military base, a highly decorated white general scans the crowd during a public event. His eyes settle on a quiet black woman standing near the back, an unassuming civilian, seemingly an easy target. With practiced arrogance, he hands her a rifle, inviting the crowd to mock her. But what he didn't realize was that she wasn't just any civilian. She was the military's deadliest sniper. The humiliation he planned was about to completely backfire. The moment she stepped forward, everything he had built began to quietly unravel. Before we continue, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow's story is one you won't want to miss. The morning sun filtered softly through Maya Thompson's bedroom window as she stood before her mirror, carefully buttoning a crisp navy blouse. Each movement was precise, shaped by years of military discipline. The stillness of dawn felt familiar, like an old friend. She paused, catching sight of a small scar above her right eyebrow in the mirror. Her fingers traced it briefly, recalling the night in Kandahar that left its mark, a memory she kept locked away with many others. Her closet door stood open, revealing a row of neatly pressed civilian clothes. Hidden behind them, wrapped in cloth, lay her old service rifle. She hadn't touched it in years, but she knew every scratch and dent, as well as the lines on her palm. Checking her watch, she noted the time. 0600 hours. Old habits die hard. She still rose before sunrise and planned her day with military precision. An invitation to Fort Reynolds' Veterans Day event lay on her dresser among bills and junk mail. She'd registered under her married name, Thompson Carter, a name from a marriage long ended but useful for a bit of privacy. In the kitchen, she brewed coffee with the same focus once reserved for cleaning her weapon. The morning news murmured softly in the background as she gathered her things, her hands moving almost automatically, checking keys, phone, wallet. The civilian version of gear inspection. The drive to Fort Reynolds took 45 minutes. As Maya approached the familiar gates, her heart kept a steady rhythm. How many times had she passed through similar gates on bases around the world? Now, she was just another civilian face in the crowd, and that suited her perfectly. The shooting range stretched along the base's eastern edge, freshly prepared for the day's demonstration. Folding chairs faced the firing line, where weapons gleamed on spotless tables. Camera crews arranged their gear, while donors in sharp suits mingled with uniformed officers. Maya chose a spot near the back, shaded by the overhead canopy, away from the growing sun. She watched General Richard Caldwell work the crowd. His silver hair caught the light as he moved from group to group, his smile steady, his laugh blending command with camaraderie. But Maya noticed what others missed, the way his smile tightened when talking to a young Hispanic lieutenant, the subtle interruptions when a female major shared her combat stories, the sharp tone when addressing the black sergeant at the equipment table. "Ladies and gentlemen," Caldwell's voice boomed across the range, "welcome to Fort Reynolds' annual Veterans Day demonstration." Standing tall in his spotless uniform, he embodied the decorated general. "In my 35 years of service, I've seen our military change. Some changes were necessary," he said, his pause deliberate. "Others have strayed from the traditions that built our force's strength." Several older white officers nodded in agreement. A young black lieutenant shifted uncomfortably. "Today's demonstration will remind us of the discipline, precision, and unwavering commitment to excellence that made America's military renowned." Caldwell gestured to the weapons behind him. "These aren't toys for social experiments. They're tools of war, meant for warriors." His gaze swept the crowd, lingering on a group of female officers. "We've seen pushes for inclusion, for diversity." Another measured pause. "But the battlefield doesn't care about quotas or feelings. It demands excellence, period." Maya remained still, her expression calm as she observed. She recognized the careful dance of Caldwell's words, prejudice wrapped in concerns about standards and tradition. a language she knew all too well from her career. The morning unfolded with various demonstrations. General Caldwell narrated each demonstration, seasoning his remarks with subtle criticisms of modern military culture. His eyes swept the crowd, searching for approval from some while dismissing others. Then his gaze landed on Maya, a quiet black woman in civilian clothes standing near the back. He noticed her instantly. His eyes narrowed, then widened with opportunity. Here was a chance to make a point. "Ma'am," he called out, his voice dripping with false warmth. "Yes, you in the navy blouse. Why don't you come forward?" The crowd's attention shifted noticeably. Maya moved forward with calm intention, her steps measured and silent, a reflex shaped by years of training. "We have quite a diverse audience today," Caldwell announced, his smile failing to reach his eyes. "Perhaps our civilian guest would like to try her hand." He gestured toward the weapon displayed on the demonstration table. "Show us how it's done." Laughter rippled through parts of the crowd. Caldwell's smile widened. "Even housewives want to play Rambo these days," he added, drawing more chuckles. "Ma'am, I hope you brought a purse to match that weapon." Maya stood perfectly still, her face composed. She had endured far worse than this man's attempt at public humiliation. Behind her calm exterior, years of combat experience and countless confirmed missions rested silently, like a loaded weapon. She stepped forward, her movements fluid and unhurried. The morning sun cast long shadows across the range as she approached the demonstration table. Caldwell's smirk remained fixed, his eyes shining with anticipated victory. "Perhaps we should start with something simpler," he suggested, reaching for a basic training rifle. "This isn't like shooting tin cans in the backyard." More laughter rippled from his supporters. Maya caught the exchanged glances among female officers, their faces tight with familiar frustration. "The standard issue M4 will do fine," she said quietly, her voice carrying unexpected authority. The general raised an eyebrow. "Well then," Caldwell announced to the crowd, "let's see how our civilian guest manages. The target's set at 300 yards, the standard qualifying distance." He turned to Maya with exaggerated concern. "Don't feel pressured to hit the target. Just getting comfortable with the weapon would be admirable." Maya lifted the rifle. Her hands instinctively found their familiar positions. The weight felt like greeting an old friend. She checked the chamber, magazine, and sights with swift, practiced motions that made several veterans in the crowd lean forward with sudden interest. "Ma'am," Caldwell interrupted, "the safety is disengaged." Maya finished calmly. "It is." Her eyes were already fixed downrange. Round-chambered, wind speed approximately 8 knots from the northwest. Her voice was professional, detached, as if alone on the range. Caldwell's smile faltered. Behind him, Captain Lucas watched intently, pen hovering over his ever-present notebook. Maya settled into position. Her breathing slowed naturally. The world shrank to the sight picture, the wind, and the target, just like thousands of times before, in places she was never officially assigned, taking shots that never officially happened. The first shot cracked, landing dead center. The second followed immediately. Same hole. Third, fourth, fifth, all perfectly grouped and touching. Silence swept the crowd. Maya smoothly reloaded, her movements like flowing water. Without hesitation, she engaged targets farther away. 500 yards, 700 yards, 900 yards. Each shot hit with devastating precision. "That's," Caldwell began, voice shaky, "impossible at this distance with standard equipment." Maya continued firing, expression steady. Each impact echoed her quiet confidence, each bullet drilling the center of increasingly difficult targets. She wasn't just shooting, she was delivering a masterclass in precision marksmanship. The crowd shifted from amusement to stunned silence. Veterans nudged one another, whispering. Several pulled out phones to record. A retired sergeant major in the front row slowly removed his hat, recognition dawning on his weathered face. "Whoa," someone murmured. "That's not luck. That's..." Maya finished her final round, engaged the safety, and cleared the weapon efficiently. The entire sequence had taken less than 3 minutes. 30 rounds, 30 perfect shots, multiple range records broken in one casual demonstration. "Thank you for the opportunity, General," Maya said quietly, stepping back. Her voice carried clearly through the stunned silence. Caldwell's face had drained of color. He stared at the distant targets, then at Maya, jaw working silently. The crowd murmured louder as range officers reported the scores. Perfect accuracy at distances considered impossible with standard gear. "Who?" Caldwell started, then stopped himself. "What's your background with firearms, Ms. Thompson?" Maya replied calmly, "I learned on the job." Recognition flickered across several faces in the crowd. A young reporter fumbled with her phone, typing frantically. Captain Lucas, still standing behind General Caldwell, suddenly went very still, his eyes widening with a sharp realization. "Thompson?" someone whispered. "Wait, Maya Thompson?" The murmurs spread quickly, like wildfire through dry grass. "That's Phantom, the sniper from Omega Task Force 6, the one with the most confirmed eliminations. Everyone thought she was gone." 300 confirmed kills, mostly under the cover of night. Caldwell's face shifted through a storm of emotions, disbelief, recognition, and then something darker. His hands clenched briefly at his sides before he forced them to relax. "Well," he said, voice tight, "quite a surprise. We weren't aware we had such distinguished guests today." His attempt at a gracious smile looked more like a grimace. "Thank you for the demonstration, Miss Thompson." Maya nodded once and quietly retreated to her spot at the back of the crowd. The rest of the event went on, but few eyes stayed on Caldwell. All attention kept drifting back to the unassuming woman in the navy blouse who had just shattered every shooting record without breaking a sweat. As the crowd began to disperse, Caldwell pulled Captain Lucas aside, his fingers digging into the younger officer's arm. "Find out everything," he hissed, eyes fixed on Maya as she disappeared into the parking lot. "Her current status, clearances, missions, everything, especially anything classified or redacted. I want to know why she's here and what game she's playing." "Yes, sir," Lucas replied, watching Maya fade from view. His hand brushed the notebook in his pocket where he'd recorded every detail of her flawless demonstration. Later, General Caldwell sat alone in his dimly lit office. A glass of bourbon sat untouched on his desk as evening shadows stretched across piles of personnel files and classified documents. His fingers traced the edge of a worn photograph, a young soldier in desert camo smiling broadly at the camera. A knock broke his reverie. "Enter." Captain Lucas stepped in, arms full of folders. His usually composed face showed signs of strain. "Sir, I have the information you requested on Maya Thompson." "Report," Caldwell commanded, carefully sliding the photograph into his desk drawer. Lucas hesitated, setting down the files. "She is Phantom, sir, the legendary sniper from Omega Task Force 6. Over 300 confirmed eliminations, most under extreme conditions. She holds 17 distance records that remain classified. Her success rate in high-risk missions is unmatched." Caldwell's grip tightened on the armrest. "Continue." "She disappeared from active duty 3 years ago." Lucas shuffled papers, stopping abruptly. His face turned pale as he read what was before him. "After what, Captain?" Caldwell's voice was low and dangerous. "Operation Shadowfall, northern Afghanistan. She was the primary marksman targeting insurgent leadership. The mission was classified immediately after completion. Records sealed." The general stood slowly, his face shadowed. "Operation Shadowfall," he repeated, voice icy. "December 14th. "Yes, sir. The target was a high-value combatant embedded with local militia." Lucas paused, watching Caldwell's expression darken further. "Sir, the shot was taken at 2,100 meters, Caldwell finished through clenched teeth. "Through a sandstorm, at night. One shot, clean kill." The memory crashed over him like a wave. Back in the command center, receiving the report. A successful elimination. Routine paperwork, until the identification came through. His son's dog tags were found on the body. The truth was unbearable. James, his only child, had defected months earlier, joining the very forces they were fighting against. "Sir," Lucas's voice grew distant. There's more. Her record shows she was never informed of the target's identity. The entire operation was buried to protect... He trailed off, understanding dawning in his eyes. To protect the family name, Caldwell said bitterly. To hide the shame of a general's son turning traitor. He moved to the window, staring out at the darkening base. Do you know what it's like, Captain, to arrange your own son's burial while pretending he died a hero? To accept condolences for a death you ordered hidden? The scene replayed in Caldwell's mind. Maya Thompson, the faceless phantom, setting her shot in the howling wind. His son James, masked and armed, moving with enemy fighters. The single crack of a rifle echoing through the mountains. A father's world shattered by a signature on a classified report. She never knew, Lucas said quietly. According to these files, she still doesn't know. The mission details remain sealed. And now she shows up at my range, Caldwell growled, bitter, showing off her skills like some circus act. He turned back to his desk, rifling through files with desperate energy. 3 years I've waited. 3 years watching her fade into civilian life while my son lies beneath the soil. His fingers moved faster across the papers. She's vulnerable now, out of the system, no active clearances or protection, and she just walked back into the spotlight. Sir, Lucas ventured carefully, what are you planning? Caldwell pulled out his phone, scrolling through contacts. I still have plenty of friends in high places who owe me favors, friends who understand the importance of protecting Command's reputation. His fingers flew over the keypad, sending messages. It's time Ms. Thompson learns the cost of her perfect shot. He looked up, eyes cold and hard. I want every classified operation she ran scrutinized, every kill dissected, every decision questioned. Find me anything that can be twisted. I want her credibility shredded so completely that no one ever speaks her name with respect again. But sir, her record is impeccable. All her shots were legitimate combat, Lucas reminded him. Then we'll create our own truth, Caldwell snapped, slamming his hand on the desk. She took my son from me, ended my bloodline, with the same cold efficiency she showed today. He straightened his uniform, regaining composure. I won't rest until she loses everything, her reputation, her honor, her peace. Lucas stood rigid, face carefully neutral. Yes, sir. What should I do with these files? Leave them with me, Lucas. Caldwell's voice was a sharp warning. This conversation never happened. To the world, I'm just conducting a routine review of past operations. Understood? Understood, sir. Lucas set the files down and left quietly, closing the door behind him. Caldwell sank back into his chair, pulling out the worn photograph again. His son's young face smiled up at him, full of promise, pride, before disillusionment, before betrayal, before the sniper's bullet ended any chance of redemption. You'll pay for this, Thompson, he whispered to the empty room. I'll make sure of it. Morning sunlight streamed through Maya Thompson's kitchen window, casting warm patterns across her granite countertop. She inhaled deeply, savoring the rich aroma of her coffee. These quiet moments had become precious since leaving active duty, a luxury unknown during years of pre-dawn deployments and midnight missions. Her small suburban home was modest but secure. Clean lines, minimal decor, perfect sight lines to every entry point. Old habits died hard. A few carefully chosen photos dotted the walls. Her unit, graduation day, quiet moments with fellow soldiers, no images from her missions. Those memories belonged only to her mind. Her phone buzzed, breaking the peaceful routine. A text from an unknown number. Watch your 6 brass moving pieces. She frowned, setting down her coffee. The message carried the unmistakable tone of her old intelligence network. Brief, cryptic, urgent. Another buzz. Caldwell pulling files. All of them. Her jaw tightened. The shooting range incident had rattled the general more deeply than she'd expected. She'd hoped to fade back into anonymity after the demonstration. Clearly, that wasn't going to happen. A third message arrived, from a different number. They're digging deep. Afghanistan. All sealed operations. Be ready. Maya's hand trembled slightly as she set the phone down. Afghanistan. The word unleashed a flood of sensations, the weight of her rifle, the bite of mountain wind, the razor focus needed for impossible shots. She had been the best, but that excellence came at a steep cost. Every mission, every trigger pull carried consequences she had learned to live with. Yet, something about General Caldwell's sudden interest in her past triggered alarm bells. His racism had been blatant at the range, but now it felt different, more personal, more dangerous. Her laptop chimed with a new email notification. Opening it, Maya saw a message from a military news blog requesting comments on previously undisclosed operations and allegations of misconduct. Her stomach tightened. Someone was already feeding stories to the press. Maya moved to her study, where a locked cabinet held her most important documents. Inside, arranged with military precision, were copies of every mission report she was allowed to keep. Her fingers traced the folders until she found what she needed: her official separation papers, signed and certified. Everything by the book, everything legal. But legality might not matter if someone powerful wanted to rewrite history. Another text arrived. Watch the networks. Stories dropping soon. Not good ones. She paced her living room, strategy sessions from years past playing through her mind. She needed intel. She needed to understand exactly what she was facing. More importantly, she needed guidance from someone who knew the politics of command. Her fingers hovered over her phone, scrolling to a number she hadn't dialed in months. Colonel Eleanor Brooks had been more than a commanding officer. She was a mentor, a shield against institutional bias, and eventually, a trusted friend. If anyone could help her navigate this storm, it was Brooks. Maya hesitated. Calling would pull Brooks into this brewing conflict. The colonel had earned her peaceful retirement, teaching at the War College, living quietly. But another glance at the growing list of warnings made Maya decide. The phone rang 3 times before Brooks answered. "This is an unexpected pleasure," the colonel's warm voice greeted her, calm and authoritative. "Though I suspect this isn't a social call." "No, ma'am." Maya's military bearing returned instantly. "I need your counsel. Something's happening with General Caldwell." A pause. "The shooting range incident. You heard about that? Word travels fast in certain circles." Brooks's tone grew serious. "What else?" Maya explained the warnings, the press inquiries, the sudden focus on classified missions. "They're digging into Afghanistan, ma'am. Everything." Brooks sighed. "Caldwell's reputation for grudges is legendary, and he's got friends everywhere in the Pentagon. What should I do?" "First, don't panic. You did nothing wrong in any operation, I know, because I reviewed most of them myself." She paused. "Can you come to my office? This isn't a conversation for phones." Maya glanced at her watch. "I can be there in 2 hours." "Good. And Maya?" Brooks's voice softened. "Whatever's coming, you're not alone. Remember that." "Yes, ma'am. Thank you." Maya ended the call and quickly packed a small go bag. Another old habit. She checked her home security system. The morning peace had vanished, replaced by the familiar tension of approaching conflict. Her phone buzzed one final time. Multiple inquiries into Shadowfall. Repeat, Shadowfall. Maya froze. That mission name tugged at her memory, though details remained classified, even from her. She'd never known why. Now, years later, those secrets were about to resurface. She grabbed her keys and bag, heading for the door. The quiet life she'd built was unraveling. She needed answers. Colonel Brooks would help her understand what she faced, and why a 3-year-old mission suddenly mattered so much to a general nursing a grudge. Colonel Brooks's home sat nestled against thick woods, far from prying eyes. Maya pulled into the long gravel driveway, noting security cameras cleverly disguised as landscape lighting. Some habits never changed, even in retirement. The colonial-style house looked warm and inviting, but Maya's trained eye caught the reinforced windows and steel core door. Brooks answered her knock, dressed casually, far from the pressed uniform Maya remembered, but her military bearing remained unmistakable. "Come in quickly," Brooks urged, ushering Maya inside. "I swept 4 devices this morning. We're clean." Maya followed her mentor through a cozy living room into a wood-paneled study. Maps and military commendations lined the walls. A collection of challenge coins gleamed in a glass case. Brooks gestured to a leather armchair, closing the heavy door behind her. "I've made some calls," Brooks said, settling behind her desk. "The chatter about you is intensifying. Caldwell's people are pulling every file with your name on it." Maya leaned forward. "Why now?" The range incident was embarrassing, but hardly enough to warrant this level of attention. Brooks's expression darkened. "It's not about the range. This goes deeper." She opened a drawer and pulled out a thick folder. "What do you remember about Operation Shadowfall?" "Not much," Maya admitted. "A high-value target elimination in the Hindu Kush. Most details were classified above my clearance, even though I was the shooter." Maya frowned. "Why?" "Because that mission changed everything, for you and for Caldwell." Brooks spread several documents across her desk. "The target you eliminated that day wasn't just another insurgent," she said quietly. "It was James Caldwell, the general's son." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. "What?" "James deserted his post 2 years ago, radicalized, bitter. He joined the militia we were tracking, even helped train their fighters." Brooks's voice softened. "The brass buried the truth to protect Caldwell's reputation. Even you weren't told who you'd really taken out." "My God," Maya's hands trembled. "Does Caldwell know I was the shooter?" "He does now. That's why he's digging. This isn't just racism or revenge for embarrassment. He's a grieving father who finally found his son's killer." Maya paced the study. "But his son was a traitor, actively fighting against American forces. Doesn't matter to Caldwell," Brooks said carefully. "In his mind, you murdered his boy." Brooks watched Maya closely. "He's coming after you hard. He's already laying the groundwork, the press inquiries." Maya nodded slowly. "He's going to twist the mission details." "Exactly," Brooks grimaced. "Portray you as reckless, unstable, question your judgment, suggest you killed an unarmed man. He's got the rank to make it stick, unless we prove otherwise." "Do we have proof?" Brooks tapped the folder. "I kept copies of some real mission files, key documents, even if it was against regulations. But Caldwell has more resources, more connections." Suddenly Maya's phone buzzed urgently. Then Brooks's phone chimed. Then the landline rang. Maya grabbed her phone first, opening a news alert. Her blood ran cold at the headline. "Rogue sniper accused of unauthorized kills." Brooks flipped on the wall-mounted TV. Every news channel carried the same story, leaked classified documents accusing Maya of going beyond mission orders, taking unnecessary shots, showing troubling patterns. "It's starting," Brooks said grimly. "He's controlling the narrative." Maya watched in horror as military analysts debated her psychological state, questioning her fitness for duty. Photos from her service record flashed across the screen alongside heavily redacted mission reports, all chosen to cast her in the worst light possible. "They're making me look like a monster," she whispered. "This is just the beginning," Brooks warned. "He'll release information in waves, each one worse than the last. Death by 1,000 cuts." Maya's phone buzzed again. More reporters requesting comments. Her social media exploded as old comrades and strangers reacted to the news. "What do I do?" she asked, feeling her carefully built civilian life crumble. Brooks stood, placing a steadying hand on Maya's shoulder. "First, stay here tonight. It's secure. Reporters won't find you. Second, we gather our own evidence. I still have friends in intelligence who owe me favors. And third," Brooks's voice hardened, "we prepare for war. Caldwell wants to destroy you to avenge his traitor son. We're not going to let that happen." Maya nodded slowly, watching another news channel join the feeding frenzy. Her phone kept buzzing with calls she couldn't answer. Somewhere in the Pentagon, she knew Caldwell was watching too, finally taking his revenge. The The peaceful morning coffee in her kitchen seemed like a lifetime ago. She was back in combat mode, but this time, the enemy wasn't across a valley. He commanded the very institution she had served so faithfully. "They'll want a statement," she said quietly. "Not yet," Brooks cautioned. "Let Caldwell play his hand first. We need to know exactly what he's got before we move." Maya sank back into the leather chair, feeling the weight of secrets and lies settle on her shoulders. Through the study window, the sun set behind the trees. Night was falling, and with it, the last traces of her quiet life slipped into shadow. Dawn crept through the study windows, painting Brooks's war room in pale gray light. Maya hadn't slept, spending the night watching her reputation unravel across every major news network. Empty coffee cups littered the desk amid stacks of classified documents and hurried notes. Brooks entered, dressed in crisp civilian clothes, carrying fresh coffee and a tablet. "Morning news cycles are worse," she said. "They're pushing the unstable warrior angle hard." Maya rubbed tired eyes. "How many interviews?" 17. All military analysts questioning your psychological state and decision-making under pressure. Brooks handed Maya a coffee. "They're building a pattern, the quiet, troubled sniper who couldn't handle the stress." Caldwell released a brief statement expressing deep concern about the revelations. Brooks's lip curled in disgust. He played it perfectly, more sorrow than anger, calling for a full investigation while praising your early service record. Maya scrolled through her phone. Hundreds of missed calls, thousands of notifications, former squad mates asking what's happening, reporters demanding comments, even death threats from anonymous accounts. "We need to change the narrative," Brooks said, settling into her chair. "Right now, Caldwell controls the story. Every hour we stay silent, his version becomes more deeply rooted. What's our move?" Brooks tapped her tablet. "Global News Network wants you for their evening panel. Live interview, prime time. They promise fair coverage, tough questions, but balanced." Maya's stomach tightened. "Sounds like a trap." "Almost certainly," Brooks admitted, "but it's also our best chance to reach millions with your side of the story." Brooks leaned in. "The longer you stay quiet, the more guilty you seem." Maya stood, pacing. Her reflection caught in the window, dark circles under her eyes, tension in her jaw. "I'm not good with cameras or talking about myself." "You don't need to be perfect," Brooks said firmly. "You just need to be real." She pulled up the show's format. 30 minutes, 3 segments. They'll start with your background, move to the allegations, then open discussion. Maya's voice was cautious. "Caldwell's people will be watching every word, ready to twist anything I say." "Yes, but so will thousands of veterans who served with you and know your character." Brooks softened. "Maya, you can't hide from this. Caldwell's counting on you staying silent, letting shame and fear keep you in the shadows." Maya stopped by the wall of commendations, touching a medal she earned on that fateful mission, the one that killed Caldwell's son. The secret weighed heavy on her chest. "If I do this," she said slowly, "there's no going back. My private life is over." "Your private life ended the moment Caldwell identified you," Brooks countered. "Now it's your choice. Let him destroy you piece by piece, or stand and fight." Maya closed her eyes, recalling moments of decision, the crack of gunfire in mountain passes, the weight of her rifle, split-second choices between life and death. This felt the same, calm focus settling over her. "Set up the interview," she said finally, "but I need you to prep me. Every possible question, every angle." Brooks nodded, already making calls. The next hours passed in intense preparation. They analyzed past interviews, pinpointing likely attack points. Brooks played devil's advocate, firing the hardest questions she could imagine, while Maya practiced staying calm and choosing words carefully. "Remember," Brooks coached, "they'll try to provoke an emotional reaction. Stay measured. Let your record speak for itself. If they press about specific missions, cite classification protocols." Maya changed clothes 3 times before settling on a simple blue blazer, professional, but not too military. She avoided makeup, wanting to appear natural and honest. Every choice felt significant. The drive to the studio was tense and quiet. Maya watched the city scroll by, remembering easier days when she was just another veteran trying to build a quiet life. Now, camera crews waited outside her apartment. Online forums dissected her every mission. Old wounds she thought healed began to throb. The studio entrance was crowded with reporters. Maya held her head high as Brooks guided her through a gauntlet of shouted questions and flashing cameras. Inside, producers whispered and pointed. Makeup artists hovered nervously, unsure how to approach her. In the green room, Maya caught fragments of the current segment. Military experts analyzing her psychological evaluations, speculating about PTSD and combat stress. Her hands trembled, but she stilled them firmly. 5 minutes, a producer announced, barely meeting her eyes. Brooks squeezed her shoulder. Remember who you are. Remember what's true. Maya nodded, touching a small medallion in her pocket, a gift from her first commanding officer. Stay focused, stay calm, just like any other mission. As she followed the floor director toward the studio, she spotted familiar faces in the production booth. Former military public affairs officers now working in media. Caldwell's network was perfectly positioned to shape the narrative. The trap was set, just as she expected. Now she had to walk into it willingly, trusting her training and truth to see her through. The studio lights blazed as Maya settled into the interview chair. 3 panelists faced her: a retired colonel, a military psychologist, and a defense policy expert. Their expressions ranged from skeptical to openly hostile. The host, Angela Chen, adjusted her earpiece. We're live in 5, 4, 3. Maya focused on her breathing, just like before taking a shot. The red recording light blinked on. Good evening. Tonight we examine shocking allegations about decorated Army sniper Maya Thompson. Joining us is Ms. Thompson herself, breaking her silence on claims of reckless conduct and psychological instability during classified operations. Angela turned to Maya, her smile sharp. Ms. Thompson, how do you respond to reports questioning your mental fitness during active duty? Maya met her gaze steadily. I appreciate the question, Angela. My service record includes 27 psychological evaluations over 8 years. All cleared me for duty. Those records are available to appropriate authorities. The retired Colonel Matthews leaned forward. Sources suggest multiple incidents of unauthorized engagement without proper clearance. Care to explain? I'm afraid those mission details remain classified, Maya replied evenly. What I can say is every shot I took was authorized through proper channels and thoroughly documented. Convenient to hide behind classification, Dr. Warner, the psychologist, said, but your behavior since leaving service, isolation, avoiding public appearances, suggests classic trauma response patterns. Maya allowed a small smile. Or perhaps it suggests someone who values privacy and quiet. Not everyone needs a spotlight, Doctor. Defense expert Harrison shuffled his papers. We have accounts from unnamed sources describing erratic behavior, mood swings, instability. Maya interrupted quietly. Unnamed sources? Like the ones claiming I failed weapons qualifications? Those records are public. Anyone can verify my scores were consistently top tier. Angela jumped in. So you're saying these reports are false? I'm saying facts matter more than anonymous claims, Maya replied calmly but clearly. My record shows 8 years of exemplary service, over 200 successful missions, 47 commendations, and 0 disciplinary actions, she continued. Dr. Warner pressed harder. Decorated soldiers can still suffer mental breaks. The pressure you faced was intense, Maya finished. Like thousands of other service members, I dealt with that pressure through training, discipline, and support from my unit. I never fired a shot I wasn't prepared to justify. The camera caught Maya's steady gaze and composed demeanor, sharp contrast to the panel's growing frustration. Viewers took notice. Social media began to light up. At home, Caldwell watched the interview with mounting rage. He expected Maya to seem defensive and unstable. Instead, she systematically dismantled every attack with quiet confidence. Back in the studio, Matthews shifted tactics. Your sudden public reappearance at Fort Reynolds, was that a calculated move? I was invited as a civilian guest, Maya said firmly. I didn't intend to shoot that day. When challenged, I demonstrated the skills I was trained to use. Nothing more. You chose to humiliate a decorated general. I chose to show respect by performing to the best of my ability. Would doing less have shown proper respect for the uniform? The question hung in the air. Online comments exploded with support. Angela carefully asked, "Your supporters claim these allegations are racially motivated. Your response?" Maya paused, then said, "I prefer to be judged by my actions and my record. They speak clearly enough." Harrison demanded, "But the leaked mission reports are fragments without context, selected to paint a specific picture." With quiet authority, Maya replied, "I welcome a full review of my service by appropriate authorities. Every shot, every decision, every order followed protocol." Dr. Warner tried one last time. "Your isolation since leaving service suggests trauma. Living quietly and serving my community in other ways was my choice," Maya said. "Until recent events forced me to defend my reputation, I was content out of the spotlight. I still am." Caldwell opened an encrypted file containing classified helmet cam footage from Maya's missions. "We have the raw material right here," he said with a dangerous gleam in his eyes. "All we need are the right adjustments. Fabricating evidence, exactly what we need." "The public loves her now," Caldwell muttered. "Let's see how they feel when they watch her gun down an innocent teenager." His fingers flew across the keyboard, sending the altered footage to an anonymous email. "Our friends will handle the technical side. The story writes itself. Stressed soldier snaps, mistakes civilian for combatant, covers it up." Captain Lucas watched his commander's descent into obsession with growing unease. Caldwell hadn't slept since Maya's TV appearance, consumed by thoughts of revenge. "Timeline?" Lucas asked quietly. "Ours. They're very good." Caldwell pulled up a news contact list. "When it hits, we leak it simultaneously to multiple outlets. Maximum exposure. No time for fact-checking. The damage will be done before anyone can verify authenticity." Across the city, tech experts began their work. The original footage showed Maya taking down an armed insurgent. Frame by frame, they altered the weapon into a schoolbook. Combat gear morphed into civilian clothes. Adult features softened into teenage innocence. Audio engineers replaced gunfire and combat chatter with peaceful street sounds, punctuated by a child's scream. Background elements shifted. A marketplace replaced a military compound. A peaceful morning replaced a firefight. At 3 a.m., Caldwell received the finished product. His hands trembled as he watched. The quality was flawless, every pixel designed to destroy Maya Thompson's life. "Beautiful," he whispered, hitting send on pre-written press releases. Dawn broke over the city. Maya woke to her phone exploding with notifications. The video had gone viral overnight, shared millions of times with horrified comments. Breaking. Shocking footage shows decorated sniper killing unarmed teen. War crime cover-up exposed. Thompson's dark secret revealed. Military investigating execution of civilian by elite soldier. Maya watched in stunned silence as her world collapsed. The footage looked real, every detail crafted to convince. Her social media flooded with hate messages and death threats. Brooks called urgently, "Maya, turn on the news now." Every channel showed the same images. Her in combat gear, the supposed teenager walking peacefully, the shot, the fall. Experts debated the video's authenticity. Former supporters denounced her. Protesters gathered outside her home. "It's fake," Maya said numbly. "That mission. The target was armed, confirmed hostile." "I know," Brooks replied, "but disproving a perfect deepfake takes time. Time you don't have." Maya's security system chimed. Cameras showed people approaching her house, some carrying signs, others looking far more threatening. "Get out of there," Brooks ordered. "Use the back exit plan we discussed. Come to my place. It's secure and off the grid." Maya grabbed her pre-packed emergency bag. Muscle memory from combat training took over. Through her window, she saw more vehicles arriving, media vans mixed with angry civilians. She slipped out through her garage's concealed door just as rocks began hitting her windows. The hidden path through her neighbor's yard led to a service alley where an unmarked car waited. Her phone buzzed constantly with calls from reporters, death threats, and old colleagues demanding explanations. She turned it off. The car wound through back roads, avoiding main streets where someone might recognize her. Maya sat silent, mind racing through options. The video was technically perfect, but there had to be proof of tampering. Brooks's house sat isolated in dense woods, protected by serious security. Maya found her mentor waiting at the reinforced door. "I've called every digital forensics expert I know," Brooks said, ushering her inside. "We'll prove it's fake, but right now, you need to disappear." Maya moved through the familiar safe house on autopilot, stowing her gear in the designated room. Through bulletproof windows, she watched the sun rise on a world that once again saw her as a monster. In his office, Caldwell watched the chaos unfold with savage satisfaction. Protesters filled the streets. Maya's supporters fell silent or turned against her. News channels ran the footage on loop, each viewing cementing its truth in the public mind. "Let's see you talk your way out of this one," he whispered to Maya's image on his screen. His revenge was complete. Her reputation lay in ruins, her life destroyed. All he had to do was watch it burn. The morning sun painted Brooks's living room in soft amber hues. Maya sat motionless on the couch, staring down at her hands. Her phone lay silent on the coffee table, powered off to escape the flood of hate pouring through it. Brooks settled beside her, pressing a steaming mug of coffee into her hands. "Drink. You need your strength." Maya took a mechanical sip. All those years of service, every mission, every shot, her perfect record, gone in one night? "Not gone," Brooks said with steady authority, the same voice that had guided Maya through her darkest combat moments. "Changed, yes. Challenged, absolutely. But not gone." Maya set down the untouched coffee. "You saw the video. They'll believe what they see. People believe what they're told to believe." Brooks leaned forward, eyes intense. "That's why we need to show them the truth. The real footage exists. In the most secure military archive in Virginia?" Maya gave a bitter laugh. "Might as well be on the moon." Brooks pulled out a worn leather notebook, opening it to detailed schematics of Fort Marshall's digital archives. "I helped design their security protocols before retirement." Maya's sniper training kicked in automatically, analyzing entry points, guard rotations, blind spots. Even with inside knowledge, access without clearance is nearly impossible. "Practically impossible," Brooks smiled. "But you're not just anyone. You're Phantom." The nickname sparked something in Maya. Not pride, but purpose. She stood, pacing as her tactical mind engaged. The footage would be stored in the classified operations wing. Biometric locks, armed guards, motion sensors, and one fatal flaw. Brooks flipped pages, revealing more notes. The backup power system. Every 3 months, they run a diagnostic rebooting all security systems, including biometric locks. Maya stopped pacing. "When?" "Tomorrow night, 200 hours. Systems down for exactly 7 minutes while generators cycle." 7 minutes? Maya's voice was thoughtful. "Barely enough time to get in and out." "No," Brooks said gravely. "Enough time to access the central server and create a remote backdoor, one that lets us retrieve the footage later, undetected." Maya studied the schematics with new intensity. Guards maintain physical security during power transitions. We'll need a distraction already arranged. Brooks pulled out her phone, showing a string of messages. "Some old friends owe me favors. There'll be an incident at the main gate requiring full security response." Maya traced potential routes through the facility. Years of sniper training had taught her to see paths others missed. This maintenance tunnel leads directly under the server room, officially sealed since '99. Brooks nodded approvingly, but unofficially still accessible if you know where to look. Maya felt her pulse quicken. not with fear, but with the familiar focus of mission planning. "I'll need specialized equipment. Check the garage." Brooks handed her a key. "Third storage locker from the left. I keep a few things just in case." The garage was climate-controlled, lined with innocuous storage units. Maya opened the locker and caught her breath. Inside lay a complete tactical kit: black fatigues, night vision gear, climbing equipment, and most importantly, her old custom sniper rifle. She lifted the weapon reverently. The familiar weight centered her like greeting an old friend. Every scratch and wear mark told a story. Missions accomplished, lives saved, duty done. "I had it maintained," Brooks said from the doorway. "Just needed oil and a new scope." Maya ran practiced hands over the rifle, checking every component. "This is beyond risky," she said. "If we're caught, if we do nothing, Caldwell wins." Brooks's voice hardened. "He's counting on you hiding, on you breaking." "Am I broken, soldier?" Brooks asked. "No, ma'am." The response was automatic, but Maya felt its truth deep in her bones. "Then gear up. We have 12 hours to plan and prepare." Maya laid out her equipment with methodical precision, each piece checked, cleaned, and arranged in exact mission order. The familiar ritual steadied her nerves and focused her mind. Brooks spread detailed blueprints across the workbench. "Entry point here. You'll have 90 seconds to cross this exposed section." They worked through the plan step by step, contingency by contingency. Maya's muscle memory awoke as she practiced scaling walls, bypassing locks, and navigating tight spaces. As evening approached, Maya stood before a mirror in full tactical gear. The black outfit felt like a second skin, comfortable in its utility. Her rifle, loaded with non-lethal rounds, hung perfectly balanced across her back. She studied her reflection. The woman who stared back wasn't the civilian Caldwell mocked at the range. This was Phantom, focused, lethal, precise. But now those skills served a different mission, not taking life, but reclaiming truth. Brooks appeared behind her, checking final equipment adjustments. "Remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about justice." Maya nodded, double-checking her ammunition. Every move was measured, deliberate. She had 7 minutes to change everything, 7 minutes to recover the truth that would expose Caldwell's lies. Outside, the sun set, painting the sky in deep purples. Maya felt the familiar pre-mission calm settle over her as she made final preparations. Her rifle, faithful companion through countless operations, waited, ready. Tomorrow night, Phantom would rise again, not as a weapon, but as an instrument of truth. The moon hung like a pale ghost behind thin clouds as Maya crouched in the shadows near Fort Marshall's perimeter fence. Maya's black tactical gear blended seamlessly into the darkness as the digital archive facility loomed ahead. A squat concrete building surrounded by motion sensors and armed patrols. She checked her watch. 0114 hours. 13 minutes until the security system reboot. Through her scope, Maya tracked the guard patrols, 2-man teams rotating every 15 minutes. Predictable, professional, dangerous. Her earpiece crackled softly. "Phantom status check," Brooks whispered. "In position, waiting for the distraction." "Copy. Team 2 is ready at the main gate. Stand by." Maya's breathing slowed automatically into the familiar sniper rhythm, controlled, measured, calm. Her rifle felt natural against her shoulder as she scanned the facility grounds through the high-powered scope. At 15:55 hours, a distant explosion shattered the night's silence. Emergency lights flashed at the main gate, alarms blaring. Maya watched as the guard team sprinted toward the disturbance, leaving only skeleton security behind. "Now," Brooks commanded. Like a shadow, Maya moved, crossing the open ground in quick, controlled bursts. The maintenance tunnel entrance was exactly where Brooks's intel had indicated, hidden behind overgrown bushes. The rusted lock was no match for her specialized tools. The tunnel air was thick with dust and decay. Maya activated her night vision goggles, revealing a narrow concrete passage stretching into darkness. Water dripped somewhere ahead, marking time like a broken metronome. She moved silently, years of training evident in every careful step. The tunnel curved gradually upward, leading beneath the main building. Her mental map tracked each turn, counting down the distance to the server room above. Suddenly, a voice echoed ahead. Maya froze, merging with the shadows. Heavy footsteps approached, a security sweep. Keys jingled, radio static crackled. A guard passed within arm's reach, flashlight beams sweeping the tunnel walls. Maya held her breath, perfectly still. The beam passed her hiding spot without pause. She waited until footsteps faded before continuing. At 0159 hours, 1 minute until the system reboot, Maya reached the access panel Brooks had identified. Ancient rust fought against her multi-tool as she carefully removed screws. The panel groaned quietly, revealing a maintenance shaft leading upward into the building. She secured her rifle and began climbing, moving smoothly despite the confined space. Each handhold was tested before bearing weight. Any sound could trigger motion sensors until the reboot began. At 0200 hours, right on schedule, the facility's lights flickered and died. Emergency systems hummed to life, casting red shadows through ventilation grates. Maya heard the distinctive click of security doors disengaging as backup power initiated its diagnostic cycle. 7 minutes. The countdown had begun. She emerged from the shaft into a utility closet, immediately orienting herself. The server room lay 2 corridors away. Easing the door open, Maya scanned for threats. A guard's radio squawked nearby. She pulled back as footsteps approached. 2 guards hurried past, discussing the gate explosion. She slipped into the hallway behind them, moving in their blind spot. The server room door loomed ahead, heavy steel, biometric lock temporarily disabled by the power transition. Maya reached for the handle. "Hey, you there!" A guard emerged from a side passage, weapon raised. Maya moved instantly, closing the distance before he could fire. Her hands struck precise pressure points: throat, solar plexus, knee. The guard crumpled silently. She dragged him into a storage alcove, securing him with flex cuffs. His radio crackled with concerned voices requesting status reports. 4 minutes remaining. The server room door opened smoothly, its sophisticated security reduced to simple mechanical locks by the power diagnostic. Banks of computers hummed in the red emergency lighting. Maya moved quickly to the central terminal, plugging in the specialized drive Brooks had provided. Lines of code scrolled across the screen as the program created a hidden back door. Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard, following the exact sequence Brooks had drilled into her memory. Heavy boots thundered down the hallway. The guard's missed check-in had been noticed. Maya's hands never faltered as she typed the final commands. 2 minutes left. The program completed its work. Maya pocketed the drive and moved toward her exit route, an air vent Brooks had identified as her emergency escape path. The cover came free just as voices approached the server room door. She pulled herself into the vent as the door burst open. Flashlight beams swept the room below as she crawled silently through the metal passage. Her mental map guided her through the maze of ventilation shafts. The power returned with a deep hum. Security systems rebooted, locks re-engaged. Maya continued through the vents, ignoring the sweat trickling down her face. Every movement was controlled, every breath measured. She emerged onto the roof just as facility lights blazed back to life. Alarms blared suddenly. The unconscious guard had been discovered. Maya moved swiftly to her rappel point, securing her line with practiced efficiency. Voices shouted below as she began a controlled descent down the building's shadowed side. Flashlights swept the grounds, searching for intruders, but Maya's black-clad form melted perfectly into the darkness. She hit the ground silently, retrieving her rifle before disappearing into the night. The maintenance tunnel swallowed her back into its concealing depths as security scrambled above. Steady and silent, Maya pressed forward. The mission was accomplished, the evidence now accessible through Brooks's secure connection. But first, she had to vanish like the phantom she was trained to be. Her heart pounded with calm intensity as she neared the tunnel exit. At the secure terminal, Maya's fingers flew over the keyboard, hunting the original helmet cam footage buried deep in classified archives. Brooks's intel was precise, the encrypted files exactly where expected. The flash drive hummed as it copied the critical evidence. Maya's eyes darted between the progress bar and the approaching door. 47%. Suddenly, klaxons blared across the facility. Red warning lights strobed over server banks. Her jaw clenched. Someone had triggered a silent alarm. 73%. Heavy boots thundered down the hallway. Maya drew her sidearm, freezing perfectly still as the door burst open. Two men in tactical gear stormed in, weapons raised. Not regular security. Their movements were too precise, too practiced. Private contractors. Maya fired twice. A knee, a shoulder. Both men collapsed, disabled but alive. She never killed unless absolutely necessary. 89%. More footsteps approached. Maya took cover behind a server bank's bulk. 3 more contractors entered, moving in formation. "Target is armed and dangerous," one whispered into his radio. "Engaging now." Maya waited for them to spread out, then struck. Her first shot caught the leader's gun hand, disarming him. She rolled to a new position as gunfire erupted, bullets sparking off servers. The drive beeped, download complete. Maya grabbed it while returning fire. One contractor dropped with a thigh wound, another charged her position. They clashed, block, strike, sweep. He was skilled, but Maya was better. Redirecting his momentum, she slammed him into a rack of computers. A precise strike to the temple ended the fight. More contractors poured in. Maya took cover as bullets filled the air, 6 weapons blazing. The server room became a storm of ricochets and chaos. Moving like smoke, Maya used the server banks for cover, firing deliberately, kneecaps, shoulders, each shot surgical. "She's picking us apart," someone shouted. "Fall back, regroup." Seizing the moment, Maya burst from cover. Her rifle sang twice more. 2 contractors stumbled, clutching non-lethal wounds. The rest retreated. She reloaded smoothly. 3 magazines left. The flash drive was secure in her vest. Now came the hardest part. Escape. Peeking around the doorway with a mirror, she spotted 4 contractors holding defensive positions at both ends of the corridor. More were surely on the way. Maya pulled a flashbang from her belt, tossing it expertly around the corner. It detonated with thunderous force, filling the hallway with disorienting noise and light. She moved fast, rifle leading. 2 contractors stumbled blindly. Quick shots to legs and arms neutralized them. The others recovered quickly. Bullets chased Maya as she dove through a doorway. Glass shattered. She rolled to her feet, ignoring cuts on her arms. A contractor charged. Maya met him with devastating close-quarters skill, blocked the strike, trapped the arm, redirected his force. He hit hard, and a precise kick ensured he stayed down. Gunfire forced her back again. Breathing steady, Maya assessed her options. The main exit was certainly covered. She'd need another route. Movement caught her eye. A contractor trying to flank her position. Maya's rifle cracked once. He fell, clutching his shoulder. She sprinted down a side corridor, bullets sparking off walls. A round grazed her left arm, burning across her skin. She ignored the pain, pushing forward. Rounding a corner, 2 more contractors awaited. Time seemed to slow as training took over. Maya's first shot struck a knee. Her second found a weapon hand. Both men collapsed as she vaulted over them toward the exit, a maintenance door leading to her tunnel route. More contractors appeared behind her. She returned fire one-handed while working the lock. A bullet slammed into her tactical vest with stunning force. Another grazed her thigh. Finally, the door gave way. Maya tossed her last flashbang behind her and slipped through. The explosion bought precious seconds as she sprinted down the tunnel, adrenaline overriding pain. Gunfire echoed wildly behind her, unsighted and desperate. Maya's night vision revealed the tunnel exit ahead. Vehicles were arriving, reinforcements responding to the alarm. The flash drive felt heavy against her chest, the vital evidence secured. Blood trickled down her arm, multiple wounds making themselves known, though none critical. Maya had accomplished her mission. Now she just had to disappear into the darkness beyond. Her legs trembled as she stumbled up Brooks's secluded driveway. Dawn was breaking, pale gray light filtering silently through the trees. Blood soaked through her makeshift bandages, each movement sending waves of pain through her battered body. Brooks was waiting at the door, concern etched across her face. She rushed forward, supporting Maya's weight. "I got it," Maya managed through gritted teeth, patting the flash drive secured in her vest. "Original footage, all of it." "Let's get you patched up first," Brooks insisted, leading Maya to the kitchen. "No time," Maya shook her head. "We need to upload this now before Caldwell realizes what's missing." Brooks didn't argue. She helped Maya to the study where a secure laptop waited, already configured for anonymous uploading. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she inserted the drive, but her eyes stayed focused despite the pain. "Multiple gunshot wounds," Brooks muttered, examining Maya's injuries as the files transferred. "You need proper medical care." "Later," Maya said firmly, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Look at this." The original helmet cam footage played in crystal clarity. It showed the full context of that mission. The enemy combatant, clearly armed, threatening American forces. The moment Maya fired was clean, professional, and fully justified. "And here," Maya continued, opening another file, "intelligence reports confirming Caldwell's son willingly defected. Documents showing Caldwell buried the truth to protect his reputation." Brooks leaned closer, scanning rapidly. Financial records, bribes, cover-ups, systematic discrimination against minorities under Caldwell's command. He'd been busy. "Upload everything," Maya said. "Major news outlets, social media, military watchdog groups. Let the truth speak for itself." Brooks's fingers moved swiftly, distributing files through secure channels. Within minutes, the evidence began appearing online. First isolated posts, then spreading like wildfire as people grasped its weight. Maya slumped in her chair, exhaustion catching up. Brooks gathered medical supplies, cleaning and bandaging wounds while watching the reaction unfold on multiple screens. "Caldwell corruption is trending already," Brooks noted, wrapping Maya's arm. "Over 50,000 mentions in the last 10 minutes. Major news sites picked up the story. Headlines flashed faster than they could track. Breaking: classified footage reveals General Caldwell's deception. Documents expose years of military corruption and cover-ups. Legendary sniper Maya Thompson vindicated by leaked evidence." Social media exploded with outrage. Veterans groups shared the footage, confirming its authenticity. Military experts praised Maya's textbook execution under fire. "Your name is being cleared in real time," Brooks said softly, finishing the bandages. "Look at the comments." Thousands posted messages of solidarity. Other soldiers shared stories of discrimination under Caldwell's command. Public opinion shifted dramatically as the full scope of Caldwell's deception became clear. Maya watched silently as her vindication unfolded. After months of carrying this burden alone, seeing the truth finally emerge was overwhelming. Her hands trembled as she read message after message of support. "Hospital next," Brooks insisted, noting Maya's weakening strength. "You've done enough for now." Across town, Caldwell sat in his office, sipping coffee and reviewing reports. His phone buzzed urgently, then again and again. Frowning, he opened his laptop. His face drained as he saw headlines, footage, and documents exposed for the world. His hands shook as he scrolled through news sites, social media feeds, and military forums. Everyone was sharing it. Everyone was talking about it. His carefully constructed facade crumbled in real time. Caldwell tried calling contacts. No answers. He watched helplessly as his reputation imploded. Years of corruption and lies laid bare for all to see. The evidence was undeniable. His own words and actions condemned him. Messages flooded in relentlessly, his superiors demanding explanations, reporters pressing for comments, former subordinates speaking out against him. The career he'd built on manipulation and deceit was crumbling around him. He slumped in his chair, coffee forgotten as the brutal reality sank in. There would be no escaping this. No spin, no cover-up, just the unvarnished truth. Maya Thompson, the soldier he'd tried so hard to destroy, had finally exposed him for what he truly was. Caldwell's hands trembled as he stuffed classified files into his briefcase. Sweat dripped down his neck, staining the collar of his once pristine uniform. Morning sun cast long shadows through the office windows, stark against the chaos unfolding inside. "Sir, they're coming," Captain Lucas announced from the doorway, voice steady but face tense. "Military police are already at the main gate." "Shut up and help me pack," Caldwell snapped, yanking open drawers and scattering papers onto the floor as he hastily shoveled files into boxes. His perfectly ordered office, once a symbol of control, now looked like a tornado had torn through it. "I can't do that, sir." Lucas stood firm, hands clasped behind his back. "And I've already secured copies of everything you're trying to destroy." Caldwell froze, turning slowly to face his aide. "You what?" "I've been documenting everything for months," Lucas continued, locking eyes with Caldwell without flinching. "The racist comments during staff meetings, the discriminatory promotion denials, the falsified performance reviews targeting minority officers. You treacherous little—" Caldwell lunged forward, but Lucas did not budge. Heavy footsteps thundered down the hallway. Caldwell's eyes darted nervously to the window, then to the private exit door. Panic replaced his usual arrogance. "General Caldwell," a commanding voice boomed from the main entrance. "This is Colonel Martinez with military police. We have a warrant for your arrest." Caldwell grabbed his briefcase and bolted for the exit, only to find 2 MPs blocking the door, weapons drawn. "Stand down, General," one ordered firmly. Camera flashes exploded through the windows. Media had already gathered outside. Caldwell stumbled back, cornered like a trapped animal. Colonel Martinez entered with 4 more MPs. "General Richard Caldwell, you are under arrest for multiple charges including abuse of power, corruption, falsification of military records, and conspiracy to commit defamation." Caldwell's face twisted with rage as they approached with handcuffs. "This is ridiculous. I'm a decorated general. You can't—" "We can, and we are," Martinez cut him off sharply. "You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it." The MPs efficiently secured Caldwell's wrists behind his back. His briefcase fell, papers scattering across the floor. The proud general who'd terrorized subordinates for years now stood helpless, his carefully crafted image crumbling before dozens of witnesses. Outside, reporters pressed against security barriers, cameras rolling as MPs led Caldwell through the main entrance. The morning sun felt harsh and exposing, like a spotlight on his shame. "General Caldwell, is it true you covered up your son's defection? Did you orchestrate the smear campaign against Maya Thompson? What about the allegations of systematic racism under your command?" Questions pelted him like bullets, each one striking another blow to his reputation. Caldwell kept his head down, but he couldn't hide from the countless phones and cameras capturing his disgrace. At the bottom of the steps, Captain Lucas faced reporters, speaking clearly into their microphones. General Caldwell maintained 2 sets of personnel files, one official and another filled with his real opinions of minority service members. "I have copies of both, along with recordings of his racist remarks during private meetings." Caldwell jerked against the MP's grip. "Lucas, you lying bastard!" But Lucas continued, his voice steady and loud. He specifically targeted Maya Thompson because she represented everything he hated, a black woman excelling in what he called a white man's profession. When she unknowingly killed his traitorous son in combat, he seized the opportunity for revenge. Reporters surged forward, shouting more questions. Lucas answered each calmly and methodically, dismantling the facade Caldwell had maintained for decades. He ordered me to alter performance reviews, deny promotions, and fabricate disciplinary reports for any minority officer showing too much promise. He called it maintaining standards, but it was pure racism. Handcuffed and helpless, Caldwell stood as his former aide exposed years of corruption and prejudice. His face flushed red, veins pulsing in his neck as he watched his legacy dissolve. "Get him in the vehicle," Martinez ordered, noting Caldwell's rising agitation. MPs guided him to a waiting military police car. Caldwell caught his reflection in the window, his medals gleaming meaningless on his chest, shoulders slumped in defeat, face twisted with impotent rage. More military vehicles arrived, packed with investigators ready to secure evidence. Caldwell watched as they entered his office building, knowing they would find even more proof of his crimes. The very officers he had belittled and discriminated against now walked past him with heads held high as he sat handcuffed in the back of the police car. The irony was unmistakable. "All those years of looking down on people," Captain Lucas said, approaching the car one last time. "Now everyone's looking down at you." The car door slammed shut on Caldwell's sputtered response. Through the window, he watched his world unravel, decades of carefully built power and prestige destroyed in a single morning. His name would forever be synonymous with corruption and racism, his medals and achievements stained by the truth of how he had earned them. The military police car pulled away, carrying Caldwell toward justice. Cameras followed until he disappeared around the corner, documenting every second of his final, humiliating exit from Fort Reynolds. The military tribunal room buzzed with tense anticipation. Morning light streamed through tall windows, casting long shadows on the polished floor. General Richard Caldwell stood at attention before a panel of senior officers. His uniform remained crisp, but his shoulders sagged with defeat. The proud bearing that once commanded rooms was gone, replaced by the posture of a man facing reckoning. Maya Thompson sat quietly in the back row beside Colonel Brooks. Her face was calm, fingers gripping the wooden bench tightly. The whirlwind of depositions, evidence reviews, and witness statements was finally reaching its conclusion. "General Richard Caldwell," the lead judge's voice rang out. "This tribunal has reviewed extensive evidence of your misconduct, abuse of power, and systemic discrimination throughout your command." Caldwell's jaw clenched visibly. The man who once intimidated entire rooms now looked small and worn beneath the harsh fluorescent lights. "The evidence presented is overwhelming and deeply disturbing," the judge continued. "Testimonies reveal a decades-long pattern of racist behavior. You manipulated performance reviews, blocked promotions, and created hostile environments for minority service members." Maya's mind flashed back to subtle dismissals, lost paperwork, and undermined achievements. Incidents once isolated, but now clearly part of a broader pattern. "Furthermore," the judge's tone hardened, "your attempt to destroy Maya Thompson's reputation through falsified evidence and manufactured scandal was a grotesque abuse of power. You exploited military resources and violated multiple regulations in your vendetta against her." Brooks reached out, briefly squeezing Maya's hand. Both remembered the dark days when the doctored video threatened to undo everything Maya had built. "Your actions have not only damaged individual careers," the judge said, "but have undermined the principles of merit and equality our military strives to uphold. The fact that you used your son's death to justify targeting Ms. Thompson while concealing his willing defection to enemy forces reveals a disturbing level of personal corruption." Caldwell's face flushed red. Several rows ahead, Captain Lucas sat upright, his testimony having been crucial in exposing Caldwell's schemes. "This tribunal finds you guilty of all charges," the judge declared. "You are stripped of your rank and military honors. Your retirement benefits are revoked. You will serve 10 years in military prison, followed by 5 years supervised release." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Caldwell swayed slightly but remained standing. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "your name will be removed from all honorary plaques and installations. Your official record will reflect the true nature of your service, not as a decorated leader, but as someone who betrayed this institution's core values." 2 MPs stepped forward as an officer approached Caldwell. With mechanical precision, They removed his medals and insignia. Each metallic clink echoed in the silent room as decorations dropped into a waiting box. Maya watched, feeling no triumph, only deep, quiet relief for every service member who would no longer face Caldwell's discrimination. "Do you have any final statement before sentencing?" the judge asked. Caldwell's voice was bitter. "Everything I did was to maintain standards, to protect this institution from—" "That's enough," the judge cut him off sharply. "Your standards were prejudice wrapped in protocol. You're dismissed." The MPs moved to escort Caldwell out. As they passed the gallery, his eyes locked briefly with Maya's. She met his gaze steadily. No flinch, no gloat. He looked away first. The room slowly emptied. Reporters hurried to file stories while officers and witnesses discussed the historic trial. Maya remained seated, letting the crowd thin. Brooks waited patiently beside her, sensing her need for quiet reflection. "You okay?" Brooks asked softly after a few moments. Maya nodded slowly. "It doesn't feel real yet." "It's real," Brooks assured her. "And it's over." They stood together, gathering their things. The morning sun had shifted, warming the wooden benches where they had sat through weeks of testimony. "You know," Brooks said as they walked toward the exit, "this case will change things. Officers like him won't be able to hide behind rank anymore." Maya thought of the young soldiers who would now serve without facing the barriers she once endured. That was worth more than any personal vindication. They paused at the courthouse steps, breathing in the crisp air. The media had already dispersed, chasing the next story. The quiet felt like a cleansing balm after weeks of chaos. "Breakfast?" Brooks suggested with a small smile. "I know a place that makes great waffles." Maya felt the tension ease from her shoulders. Waffles sound perfect. They descended the steps together, two soldiers who had fought for justice, not with weapons, but with truth. Behind them, the tribunal doors closed on Caldwell's era of discrimination and abuse. Ahead lay a military slowly but surely moving toward the equality it promised to uphold. The autumn breeze rustled the American flag flying at half-mast outside the newly constructed Phantom Veterans Memorial Center. The modern building's glass facade reflected the morning sun, its clean lines a stark contrast to the traditional military architecture surrounding it on Fort Reynolds's grounds. Maya Thompson stood at the podium, her dark suit crisp and professional, hands resting lightly on either side of the microphone. Behind her, rows of chairs held a diverse crowd, veterans in dress uniforms, civilians in formal attire, and a new generation of soldiers standing at parade rest along the perimeter. Colonel Brooks sat in the front row, beaming quietly with pride. Beside her, Captain Lucas, now a key ally in reforming military culture, nodded encouragingly. The faces before Maya represented everything she had fought for: accountability, equality, and the chance for every soldier to serve with dignity. "Today," Maya began, her voice steady and clear, "we dedicate this center not just to veterans, but to truth itself." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the audience. "For too long, some of our bravest soldiers have served in silence, their achievements dismissed, struggles ignored, voices muted by those who claim to lead them." Several older veterans nodded knowingly. Their own stories of discrimination had surfaced during Caldwell's trial, marking a watershed moment for military reform. "This center," Maya continued, gesturing toward the building behind her, "will serve as more than a memorial. It will be a place of action. Here, we will provide training, support, and, most importantly, a platform for those who have been silenced to speak their truth." The morning sun climbed higher, warming the gathered crowd. Maya removed her suit jacket, revealing her old combat gloves tucked into her belt, a symbol of her days as Phantom, now worn openly. "When I first joined the service," she said, her voice more personal, "I believed excellence would be enough, that if I became the best, the most accurate, the most disciplined, the most dedicated, it would overcome any prejudice." A sad smile crossed her face. "I became legendary as Phantom, but even that wasn't enough to protect me from those who saw only my gender and my race." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. Many had followed Maya's story closely in the media, watching her transform from a wronged soldier into a symbol of resistance against institutional discrimination. But today isn't about dwelling on past injustices. Maya straightened her shoulders. It's about making sure those injustices stop here. This center will offer advanced tactical training, especially in marksmanship and stealth operations. But more than that, it will teach something no amount of range time can provide. The courage to stand up for what's right, even when standing alone. She pulled her combat gloves from her belt, holding them up for all to see. These gloves have seen more battles than I care to count. They've steadied my aim in sandstorms and snowstorms. They've helped me save lives, and yes, sometimes take them. But their greatest service came when they helped me grip the truth and refuse to let go. The audience sat wrapped in attention as Maya described the center's programs: mentorship for minority service members, legal support for those facing discrimination, and advanced combat training open to all who qualify, regardless of background. "We named this place Phantom," she explained, "not because of my old call sign, but because phantoms have a way of refusing to stay buried. The truth is like that. You can try to hide it, but it will always find its way into the light." As Maya concluded her speech, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Veterans with decades of service wiped tears from their eyes. Young recruits stood taller, inspired by the possibility of serving in a military that truly values all its members. The formal ribbon cutting followed, with Maya and Brooks wielding the ceremonial scissors together. As photographers captured the moment, Maya noticed a small figure lingering at the crowd's edge, a young black girl, maybe 12 years old, watching with undisguised admiration. After the ceremony, as the crowd mingled and toured the facility, the girl approached Maya timidly. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair in neat braids, eyes shining with determination. "Ms. Thompson," her voice barely above a whisper, I want to learn to shoot like you. Is it true you're teaching classes here?" Maya knelt to the girl's level, studying her earnest face. "What's your name?" "Jasmine," the girl replied, standing a little straighter. "Well, Jasmine," Maya smiled, reaching for her combat gloves, "the junior marksmanship program starts next month. But first," she held out the well-worn gloves, "these might be a little big for you now, but you'll grow into them." Jasmine's eyes widened as she carefully took the gloves, handling them like precious treasures. "Really? But these are yours." "They were," Maya nodded. "Now they're yours. Sometimes," she added softly, "we all need a little help holding steady while we find our aim." I hope you enjoyed that story. Please share it with your friends and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Meanwhile, I've handpicked 2 stories I think you'll love. Have a great day.